War Machine here. Welcome to my HK wall. There's one manufacturer I could keep, only one, it would be the HK wall, or HK in general. Reason being, engineering, dependability, quality. I mean, you can't go wrong with it at all. Sometimes when you're holding HK in your hands, you kind of feel like Superman. Special thanks to House of Pain Munitions for sponsoring the ammo in this video. Made by veterans right here in Ohio, this is a great place. My HK wall. I am very proud of it. I've been building it for about 6 years now. I did have some other ones. I traded a few, sold a few, but I mean, this wall is just amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know, the first time I ever heard of HK when I got into guns, I was a guy dealer I was buying a gun off of was like, you're not going to go wrong buying an HK. And I'm like, how good can it be? Really? So, you know, I bought some other guns. Things jammed. You know, you had issues. Stuff broke. And then I bought my first HK. And the first one I bought was 416-22. The guy's like, that's one of the most dependable 22s out there. I'm like, it can't be that good. I've put every kind of ammo you could think of through that. Just eats it up and shoots. And there's so many other 22s I've bought and stuff that just jam up and everything like that. Then my first HK machine gun was the MP5 SD. So this thing is so quiet when you shoot it, you need no hearing protection at all. You could actually hear the dirt even like 50 yards away downrange when you're shooting it. Check it out. And wow, that thing just, I don't think it's ever jammed once. Maybe one time when I was trying to put tracers through, but other than that, that thing is just shot. It's quiet. So why don't we just go ahead and start with the MP5 SD. This thing has an integrally built suppressor in it. Shoots 9mm. Navy SEALs use it in the 80s. In fact, when you see this thing, you'd think of Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen right off the rip. Here it is. You can watch this bad boy in action in my MP5 video too if you look it up. So next will be the regular MP5s. So I got a couple of them over here, and these bad boys, the exact same thing, just no suppressor on them, but you could put a suppressor on them with the 3-lug. I'm not going to do it because sometimes YouTube takes down videos for doing that, so I'm not going to show you that, but you could also watch this bad boy in my MP5 video. Pound for pound, the MP5 is one of the best submachine guns or machine guns ever made. I tell people, if you're going to buy a transferable machine gun, an MP5 is probably one of the top choices. You could get parts, they're dependable, they're pretty durable, you can't wear a barrel out. You can put 500,000 rounds through one of these things probably, so. These were in like every 80s and 90s movie out there, from Predator to Lethal Weapon to Die Hard. I mean, these things were ultimately famous in those movies. Next thing here is the USP 45. Some people think this is one of the best 45s ever made. I agree. This thing is unbelievable. For the 90s, maybe even early 2000s. It was in the movie Collateral with Tom Cruise. That's what he carried the whole movie. This thing is sweet. Check it out in action. This is definitely one, it's an older gun, but it's one you would love to have. Very dependable. Got some serious knockdown power. Very well made. Okay, now we're to the HK45. This is the newer version of that, basically. Shoots a 45. Same deal. A lot of special forces, some law enforcement use it. Watch this one in action. I mean, personally, I like 9mm a little bit better, a little bit more accurate, a little bit further range, but I still like shooting these. Pretty awesome guns. You're not going to go wrong with the HK45. So here we are with the H&K 416-22 long rifle. This, I believe, is one of the best 22 long rifles ever made. I've put every kind of ammo through it. Just eats it up. It never jams up like other ones do sometimes. I got a little suppressor for it here. perfect for plinking plates and pretty good for varmints too. You know what varmints are, right? But the only problem is sometimes people live in areas where they can't discharge a firearm for a varmint, so you got to think of other resources like this. So when you have those pesky varmints in your yard, you got to let the German Shepherds out. We'll show you how to handle this. That was pretty funny, but one thing that's puzzling me a little bit, he looks more like, instead of a varmint, maybe a feral hog or something. The MP7A1. You know, me and my fiance were watching Weaponology, and it was the invention of the machine gun, and it went all the way down to what they said was the best machine gun ever invented. And guess what won that prize? The MP7. This thing is so pound for pound. Look how small it is. I mean, it's so light. It will penetrate body armor up to 200 yards. It'll penetrate bulletproof glass. You could fold this thing down to where it's like a handgun almost. You know what I mean? It's so small. I'm going to show you videos where I'm shooting with one hand you can keep on your target. But it has the power. It doesn't have a ton of knockdown power, but it really does have penetrating power. And the main reason they invented something like this is for people to be able to stop anyone with body armor in case you're in a war and they're dropping paratroopers or anything like that. So this thing is very powerful. I mean, it shoots a very high rate of speed. It's a little rifle round, a 4.6 by 3.0. Pretty cool little gun. Watch this one going off. So I know that Special Forces, Navy SEALs, I think Secret Service, some law enforcement, SWAT teams are using this bad boy. Okay, next we're going to go to the VP9. H&K VP9 Striker Fire. This, wow. One of the first semi-automatic handguns I bought. Love this thing. Accurate, easy to clean. I personally put over 50,000 rounds through one of these without cleaning it. Never had one misfire, jam, anything. I mean, this thing is very well made. You know, they have these different hand grips to fit your hands. I mean, this thing's awesome. Check this one out in action. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Battle Cat Company. They give me this cool shirt. They got all kinds of cool t-shirts and apparel. They got hoodies, they got hats, they got all kinds of stuff. Battlecat.com. Their link is in my description. Make sure you check them out. Battle Cat Company. Next item on our list here, or on our wall, we'll call it, is the HK UMP, or UMP. This thing is badass. 45, you got 2-round burst, you got single, full auto. I mean, this thing packs a punch. This is basically like a reinvented Thompson almost. I mean, this thing, you're doing, you know, breaching doors, you're going, you know, house to house, anything like that. You're inside rooms. God, you have this thing. I don't care if somebody's wearing a vest or not. They're getting knocked to the ground and probably knocked out even if they survive. So this bad boy's been in a lot of good movies like Sicario. I mean, that's an awesome movie. I believe some law enforcement used it. I don't know if the military's used it a whole ton, but, you know, long range, definitely not a long range weapon. Anything over 100 yards is going to be tough to hit anything with this, but I'll tell you what, 50 yards or less, this has got some serious knockdown power. So check this bad boy out. Definitely a fun one. And they do make semi-automatics too. I have one right here. It's got the longer barrel on it. Same cool gun. So you can get a full auto or semi-auto. Next is one of my personal favorites, and The movie John Wick made this one very famous. So the P30L. I got 2 of these bad boys. I don't have the compensator on the end of it like you did, but this thing is, whew, wow. I know the German military uses these, the German police. GSG-9, I believe, uses them. John Wick used it. Can you say enough right there? I mean, he loved this thing. Check this bad boy in action. So, extremely accurate. This is more the military version. The VP9 would be kind of more the civilian version, but they're both very well made, great guns. Definitely love shooting this bad boy. So our next rifle or gun on the gray HK wall here, the HK 416. .5-inch barrel, 14.5-inch barrels. Let me just tell you, this gun is very famous, and the main reason why, and I'm going to go into a full video on this, so the main reason why this one is famous is it killed Osama bin Laden. This thing took it out. This is what Navy SEALs took him out with. This thing is badass. In fact, you can watch videos on this where they bury it in sand, throw it in water, bury it in mud, and pull it out and just shoot it. I mean, I've personally put over 10,000 rounds through one of these without cleaning it. No jams, no nothing. I mean, you can't do that with almost anything. I mean, this thing is awesome. Watch this bad boy going off. So these guns are piston driven. I mean, they are just well made. I even have a couple semi-automatics here and never had an issue once. No jams, no nothing. I mean, this thing is awesome. One of my top guns I would pick if somebody ever invaded us to use. Now I'm going to introduce you to the most accurate semi-automatic handgun I've ever shot in my life. This thing is amazing. I used it in a tramp stamp video. I've used it we play horse, me and my friends, a lot of times, you know, shooting plates to see wins and stuff. I'm basically the champion. I don't think I've ever been beat, and this is the gun I use right here. The VP9 long slide. Wow. This thing at 100 yards, I'm actually accurate hitting body plates with it. 50 yards, completely deadly. This thing is awesome. It looks cool. And I'm telling you, it is the most accurate semi-automatic gun I've ever shot. Here we go. I also have a gray and black, my own custom VP9 long slide. Love this thing, I'm telling you. So I got twins. Wick should have used these too, definitely. Oh yeah, and if you ever had an interest in gunsmithing, go to SDI, Sonoran Desert Institute. You can get your online gunsmithing degree, and I'll tell you what, this place is awesome. Check out the link in my description, you won't be disappointed. Now, one of my favorites, and I love the 416 too, but the G36. Holy crap. If shit ever hits the fan, this is what I would have on me if I could pick one gun on this wall. It's a little bit lighter than a 416. The German military uses this. It's in all kinds of movies. So this thing has the same internals as a 416, except for it's a little odd. You have a charging handle up here, which you pull back the racket, and it's ambidextrous. You could do either way. You have 2-round bursts, single, full auto. I love the 2-round burst. That's a nice feature. This gun is very light. You can fold the stock up, you know, light area. You know, I've even watched German soldiers be swimming underwater with this thing and pull out and just shoot it. So now it takes us to the VP9 SK, the smaller carry version. I personally own 3 of these. My fiance has 2 of them. At least 5 or 6 of my friends have them. So all the mags, you know, even the VP9, the full mags will fit into these. They stick out a little bit, but it still works. I can't put one in because I don't want YouTube to take this video down, but Man, these things just fit your hand perfect. Definitely a little bit smaller. I mean, compared to like even the P30L. Not a ton smaller, but enough that you can, conceal it a little bit better. And very accurate. I mean, I had one that I didn't clean for, I don't even know how many rounds, but I mean, I do fencing too, so it's constantly getting dirty. It was in my truck getting beat up. I could pull that thing out, and it is just accurate. So next here, we have my HK33s. I really do like these guns. This is kind of like the German M16 of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. These things are really cool. As a matter of fact, me and my woman were watching Rambo, First Blood. The sheriff was carrying one of these in the woods, and I had to pause it and come get the gun and show her. Here it is. This is basically like just the exact version of an MP5 almost, just in 223. They do have HK53s too. I did own them before. I don't have anymore. Takes the exact same magazines and everything as this. So wait till you see my video on this. I like it a lot. I got a 100-round drum for it. So this HK33 is a special one. This is the SG1 version, a sniper version. It's basically a sniper machine gun. Again, I'm not going to go into super great detail on these because each one of these are going to have their own video. Just wanted to show you can see the different stuff on the sniper one. It's actually got a trigger. You're going to press the button where you can have a sniper trigger. So the next gun we're going to look at here is the HK23E. This is a belt-fed 223 or 5.56 machine gun. Basically like the HK version of the SAW. I mean, this thing's a little weird. I do like them. Not my favorite. I honestly think I like the SAW maybe a hair better. But these things are very nice, controllable, and they shoot fast. Again, I'm not going to go into full detail with this. Me and my buddy both own one. We're going to do a video on it, but you can see this thing firing. Watch this. The next gun on the HK wall here, the HK21, the big brother of the HK23 here. This is a 308 version. That's the 223 version. This thing got some serious recoil, let me tell you. I call it a violent belt-fed machine gun. I mean, you could see well-fed Americans shooting this thing in the Living in America video. Here you go. Megan?
Yeah.
All right, let's go, Peach. Come on, boy. Looks like well-fed America might have a bad case of shaken baby syndrome after shooting that thing. So it's pretty cool. Got a detachable barrel here. Again, I'm not going to go into this crazy because I'm going to do a video with the HK23 and HK21. So you can watch the full video coming out in a few months. Next, we're going to go to my 308 rifles and sniper rifles of the HK wall. We're going to start off with this beauty right here, HK91. This thing, before there was AR-10s, before there was anything, this was the gun to have in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. I mean, this thing was badass. You can even see it in the movie Heat with Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer. He's using it over the drive-in movie theater when he's shooting at that truck. If I had an HK91 and shit hit the fan, I'd feel pretty good. 20-round magazines, 308 semi-automatic. This thing's durable. I mean, it just rocks it out pretty good. Watch me shooting it. So I got a couple of these bad boys, and both of these are pretty cool because they were made in 1976, the year I was born. 200 years for America, and the Columbia War Machine was born, and an HK91. G3 SG1. So a G3 is a full auto machine gun HK91. That's a semi-automatic version, civilian version. So this bad boy is kind of like the HK33 SG1. This thing is set up, and a lot of SWAT teams used to use these. So again, you got a sniper, you got a scope on it. You hit this to get a nicer trigger, but also you could rock it down to full auto if you're in a firefight or something. So you got the best of both worlds with this bad boy. The next gun on my HK wall, the PSG-1. I mean, this gun is in its own class. Like, it is, I am so blessed to have one. 388 of these bad boys made it in the United States. 388. I've had 3 in my possession. This one is unfired, perfect. I have all the accessories with it. This gun in 1972 cost $10,000 to buy. That's how well made this thing was. I mean, it is the most accurate semi-automatic sniper rifle ever built. It really is. This thing was used in Lethal Weapon by Mel Gibson when he was out in the desert shooting at that limo when they had that girl hostage. Check it out.
Come on, honey. Come on, honey.
It's a smoker.
Bingo.
Where the hell is he?
Damn it, it's rigged.
I know when they were making these, they would factory test them. Each gun had to shoot 50 rounds at 300 yards, and it had to stay inside of a 3-inch circle. If one bullet went out of it, they destroyed the gun and made a new one. The next gun on the list here, the H&K SR9T. As you can see, it looks very similar to the PSG-1. It's a little bit newer version. It made it a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller barrel. Very accurate. It's in the movie Sniper, Billy Zane. It was also in the movie The Jackal, and also in Under Siege 2, or movies that I can remember was in from right off the rip. The next gun on the list here is the H&K MR762A1. I do have a full video of this. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. If we ever got invaded or shit ever hit the fan, I mean, a G36 is awesome and stuff, but man, if you had one of these in your hands, you got a 20-round magazine. You could get out to, 700-800 yards hitting targets with a sniper rifle. It's also semi-automatic, so you can engage in a firefight with a 20-round magazine up even 20 yards away or something. I proved that in the video. You got to watch that. This thing is awesome. It's used by the German military. Our military is using it, and a lot of law enforcement's using it because, and I've even done tests before with some SWAT teams. When you got a bolt-action rifle, you get one shot. You move your head when you're going to take another one. You're staying right on your target. You're just pulling the trigger. You can engage in multiple targets, or if you have to hit something several times, a moving vehicle, anything like that. This thing's awesome. Stay tuned for the next video. You do not want to miss this one. It's going to be M134 minigun with tracers versus everything. And I mean everything too. Body plates, ballistic dummies, cars, statues, I mean all kinds of stuff. Block walls. Trust me, this one's going to be awesome. All with tracer rounds with the minigun, 50 rounds a second.